1917 is directed by Sam Mendes and stars Dean Charles Chapman and George McKay and tells the story of two soldiers who have to deliver a message to stop a 1,600-men mission from walking into a trap. 1917 has recently picked up a lot of wins during the award season and has really started to show up on a lot of people's radars. Hearing that this movie is going to give the illusion of being a one-shot movie, just the idea of that was crazy. And I really think that they pulled it off here. For most of the movie, the camera would be on level for characters. If they were walking to a trench, the camera would follow them down the trench, or if they were going to a river, it would follow them into the river, and so on and so forth. And I think having that gave the feeling that the audience went through everything that they went through, which kind of puts us more into the movie. And with that being said, I think Chapman and McKay both give pretty good performances here. You don't get to know them too much as everything is happening in real time, but you do get to pick up little pieces in passing dialogue and items that they carry with them throughout the journey. Going back to the story, I think the film uses that as one of its best strengths because it kind of causes for very little moments of downtime where you kind of catch your breath, because most of the movie is very intense and it causes you to have the same panic as the characters that you're watching. And when the action goes down, it's amazing to look at, and we have Roger Deakins to thank for that once again after all these movies he's done that always look so great, like Skyfall with Sam Mendes in the past. And the score for this movie is also really great. It has this very somber and dramatic feeling that kind of pulses throughout the film. But overall, I don't really have too much to gripe about 1917. I think the characters could have used a little bit more characterization, but it's really just a nitpick. And towards the third act, I think it could have been a little bit longer. But again, that's just nitpicking, and I'm going to give 1917 a 9 out of 10. This was truly one of the greatest movies of 2019 and really pulled off something that seemed impossible. And now that the review is over, I promised in my Bad Boys for Life video that I would talk about my top 10 list for 2019, and that's what we're going to do here. So we're just going to jump right into it with the worst 10 movies of 2019 in my opinion. And again, this is going to be pretty rapid fire. I'm just going to say one or two things about the movie and move on. So at number 10 we have Velvet Buzzsaw. This is the second outing with Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, and Dan Gilroy after Nightcrawler. And it turned out to be this really weird art horror movie that just didn't really interest me and just kind of fell flat. At number 9 we have Cold Pursuit. This was supposedly Liam Neeson's last action film, and I don't think he did that great in this one. There were a few quirks, but overall the action was kind of bland, and I just kind of got bored halfway through. At number 8 we have The Lion King. This is one of those Disney live action remakes, and another movie that I kind of got bored halfway through. It was nice to hear the songs and see different voice actors take on these iconic roles, but overall it's just the same movie again. At number 7 we have Good Boys. This is one I was very excited for because it was super bad with kids, but it turned out to be kind of unfunny, but did have a nice little message in there, but overall just not worth your time. At number 6 we have Men in Black International. This was a movie that I was pretty excited for, and not a lot of people were talking about it for some reason, and then I finally saw it, and I could see why, and the jokes kind of fall flat, probably generic, and just didn't seem to have that flair that the first 3 Men in Black movies had. Number 5 we have Anna. This was one that some of you might not have known about. This was Luc Besson's new movie that featured this girl spy. And although I did like the action sequences, I thought the overall movie had just had too many twists and turns and just kind of got convoluted for no reason. Number 4 we have Six Underground. I reviewed this movie a few weeks back, and you guys know how I feel about this movie. I didn't really like it. I thought the flashbacks were just kind of there for exposition, and it didn't really have a lot of fun to it until towards the end, and the characters really just stereotypes of a traditional crew. Number three, we had Gemini Man, another one that I was pretty excited for because of the concept of Will Smith fighting his younger clone. And it had everything to be great. It had the story, it had good stars, but the writing, I think, is where it failed. It just didn't really know where it wanted to go, and it kept including all this stuff that just didn't work out right. Number two, we have Code 8. I also reviewed this movie a few weeks back. This was one of the last movies I saw in 2019, and just did not live up to the story, just like Gemini Man, because it has a pretty good idea, but the execution was not that great. Has some good stars, but and some inventive action sequences, but overall it's forgettable. And like I said in my review, it's kind of like a straight to DVD movie. And my pick for the worst movie 2019 is Hellboy. This was another one that just did not work at all. I don't think this one had a great story. There were plot lines that were kind of abandoned, and the action sequences weren't that great. But it did have a good performance from David Harbour. And now to move on to disappointments. I'm not really going to say anything about them. I'm just going to list them off. And they are Hellboy, Glass, Velvet Buzzsaw, Detective Pikachu, and Terminator Dark Fate. I think these movies could have been a whole lot better. It had ingredients to be good movies, but just in execution it didn't work out like a bunch of people, and myself included, thought it would. Now moving on to surprises, again I'm just going to list them off, not really going to say much about them. And the surprises include Shazam, Booksmart, Rocketman, Peanut Butter Falcon, and Little Monsters. These were movies that I did have on my radar, but I thought they were going to be good, but it turned out to be either great or even better. Now moving into my top 10 movies of 2019, these I'm going to talk about a little bit just like my worst movies, but I'm not going to go too in depth, just say one few things and move on. Number 10, we have Shazam. Shazam was a movie that I was really looking forward to, but I thought it was going to be good, but it turned out to be one of my favorite movies of 2019. It was funny, it had a lot of heartfelt drama in it, and really showed how superpowers for kids could be like. Number 9, we have 1917. Like I said earlier in my review, this is a really intense movie that's filmed beautifully and has some pretty good performances from Chapman and McKay. Number 8, we have John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Another one that I was really excited for, and it really paid off. Just the action was bigger than last time and better than last time, and it keeps this really intense, no time to breathe feel to it throughout the whole movie. Number 7, we have Fighting With My Family. One that I kind of popped on late at night and didn't think anything of it, and it turned out to be, again, another favorite movie of mine, and I can't wait to watch it again because it has a great performance from Florence Pugh, who has really gone mainstream this year with Midsommar and soon to be in the Black Widow movie. Number 6, Avengers Endgame, a movie that I've wanted to see on screen for so long, and it really paid off. I love comic books, love comic book movies, and I think it really did this justice. The only thing holding it back is I do have a few issues in relating to just nitpicks. Number 5, we have The Lighthouse, a movie that had great performances from Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and wasn't afraid to go creepy and kind of weird, and I think it really pulled off. And to this day, I don't really understand everything that's happening, but I think that's part of the fun in rewatching the movie. Number 4, we have The Peanut Butter Falcon, a movie that's pretty underrated that nobody's really talking about, but the people who do talk about it, myself included, love this film. I think it has a great message that a lot of people should really try to understand these days. Number 3, we have Parasite. This has quickly become a fan favorite during award season that a lot of people are pushing for, myself included. It has a really great tone that kind of balances kind of thriller and comedy really well, and I think the characters are also really funny and relatable. Number 2, we have Marriage Story. All I have to say is great performances, a great score, and some really intense scenes that rival anything that's been shown this year. And my pick for the number one movie of 2019 is Joker. If you watch my review, it's no surprise. I think it has a really amazing performance from Joaquin Phoenix. It showed that the DC universe can go dark and pull it off really well. And I can't wait to see what happens next in this universe, if there's a Joker 2 or if there's a Batman movie set in that Joker universe. Those are my top 10 lists of 2019 along with my review for 1917. Let me know if you guys have seen those movies down below, what you thought about them, and what your top 10 list for 2019 would be. And I'm also going to leave a link to the 67 movies that I got to see in 2019, all ranked in order, and that will be in the description below. But yeah, that's about it, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.